Let's bring in Josh Hammer. He's a senior editor at large at Newsweek. Mehek Cook is an attorney and Republican consultant. And Gerard Fillety, senior counsel with the Lawfare Project. Thank you all for coming on. We'll start with Mehek, if I can, on this one. What do you expect to happen here with the courts? Many thought that maybe this would just kind of be one of those one-and-done moments. It would be moved on, passed along. But it appears that Speaker Johnson doesn't want to let that happen.
I don't think we can just give up on this. I think that releasing these actual audio videos are so important to the American people. Transcripts don't do what happened justice. We need to directly hear what Biden said during these interviews. And the fact that the DOJ and so many people have this massive cover-up where they won't release the audio is truly shocking. So the American people are demanding accountability, and I fully expect the House to continue pushing this and for a court to demand the release of this. I've never seen a legal case go like this where, because of somebody's mental capacity at the highest level, we're talking about President Biden, that suddenly there's no transparency and access of justice. It's shocking.
Yeah, it is wild when you just take a few steps back from this whole thing and think about a special counsel was recommending that the president of the United States wouldn't be able to stand trial. Really? That the jury would have such sort of pity for him that they wouldn't be able to convict him? We're talking about the president of the United States. Okay, we'll move on. The DOJ did issue a statement, though, to Johnson saying, consistent with this longstanding position and uniform practice, the department has determined that the responses by Attorney General Garland to the subpoenas issued by the committees did not constitute a crime. And accordingly, the department will not bring the congressional contempt citation before a grand jury or take any other action to prosecute for the attorney general. Josh, we'll go to you. The DOJ clearly dismissing this matter altogether.
Yeah, so look, I mean, this obviously is a big deal, Emma, for the reason that you just described. This gets all the way to the top. I mean, the American people in a presidential election year deserve to see whether the commander-in-chief can form coherent sentences, whether or not he was literally just misremembering or misstating things, as he often does when it comes to his son, Beau Biden, whether he died overseas in Iraq, as he often says, he actually died from cancer. So there was a lot there in that transcript that the American people need to see the actual video of. I don't think this lawsuit is going to go anywhere for one very simple constitutional structural reason, which is that the attorney general is the boss of the DOJ. And you're not going to have a lower U.S. attorney who's going to pursue charges when his boss can just quash that and nip it in the bud right away. Constitutionally speaking, the proper remedy when you have an attorney general who is failing to obey a congressional subpoena, the proper remedy is impeachment. That is the remedy that the framers devised and gave to the House. So House Judiciary Committee, if they wanted to, that would actually be the proper next step, at least constitutionally speaking, in my view. It's probably good politics in an election year as well if Jim Jordan wants to start doing that.
Yeah, great point, because Speaker Johnson said this: it is sadly predictable that the Biden administration's Justice Department will not prosecute Garland for defying congressional subpoenas, even though the department aggressively prosecuted Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro for the very same thing. And that's where I wanted to bring Gerard in. I mean, this is where I think politics and the law gets a little, or the judicial system gets a little blended, right, because of the executive privilege that this attorney general has, where Navarro and Bannon did not.
You hit the nail on the head. It's the issue of executive privilege that the attorney general is relying on to not be criminally prosecuted, and why a criminal prosecution would probably go nowhere. However, the civil enforcement of the subpoena, that's got more legs. That's also more interesting because on the one hand, you're saying that you can release the transcripts, but you can't release the audio. And I think a judge will look at that with some skepticism, because words have context. The way you say something, it's not just how you say it. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So I think a civil court might look more conveniently on a measure to bring forth the subpoena for enforcement rather than a criminal prosecution. And that itself would be revealing and keep political pressure on the Biden administration.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do know how long court cases can take to go through the system, depending on, maybe who's motivating things. So, Mehek, in the chance that Donald Trump were to return to the White House, even in January being sworn in, is that when perhaps we might hear these tapes for the first time? Otherwise, do you anticipate the AG handing them over at any point?
I don't think Garland is going to hand these tapes over. And I think under President Trump, we're going to go back to law and order and a justice system that's supposed to do their job rather than conveniently drag on cases. So I fully expect a justice system that worked under President Trump's administration when he was president, a justice system that reviewed cases, that gave the American people answers, where we weren't waiting and there weren't all these massive cover-ups and scandals. It's going to be very telling. It's not just the transcripts. There's so much more information that we're going to have access to realize the major cover-up, this Biden crime family corruption scandal that's been going on since President Biden has been in office.
Let's throw final thoughts to Josh Hammer on that.
Yeah, I mean, I do not expect Merrick Garland to just give up these documents or anything like that. Like I said, I mean, if I were advising the U.S. Congress, I would advise Jim Jordan and House Judiciary Committee to work on articles of impeachment. That, again, is the proper constitutional remedy for a separation of powers standoff like this. Don't go to the courts. That is buying into the myth of judicial supremacy, the idea that the courts decide everything for all parties. No. Article 1, the Congress is a coordinate branch of government. They have their own ability to interpret the Constitution and enforce the law. And again, the remedy for an attorney general who is refusing to obey a congressional subpoena is the impeachment remedy.
All right, we'll have to leave it right there. We'll see if Republicans want to do something about it. It's a very slim majority, as we know. Josh Hammer, Mehak Cook, and Gerard Fletty, thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.